I was just waving goodbye to him. And I think after game 3, Dennis Schroeder was out there pointing to his wrist. They was out there doing all these celebrations and doing all this stuff, and we kept our composure. And after one win, that was what they decided to do. And we was just like, okay, what we want to do is win 4 games. And then when we win those 4 games, it's not going to be nothing to talk about. So that's what that was.
Great night, great moment for Damian Lillard. We came into this series talking about Damian Lillard and Russell Westbrook and who would have the bigger games, who would have the bigger series in the end. How incredible, though, was the moment for Lillard after you watched just what went through this whole series?
The moment and the game. Let's just say they won without a game winner, but Dame goes for 50. That would have meant he did something in the playoffs that Steph's never done, Kevin Durant's never done, Kareem never did, Shaq never did. LeBron had never done until last year. A 50-point playoff game in and of itself is, you see that once every couple postseasons. It is incredibly rare. But not just a game winner, a series winner, that's even more rare. To my recollection, there's only 6 in NBA history. There is Ralph Sampson against the Lakers in '86. Jordan's got 2 of them against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Stockton over the Rockets. And then Damian Lillard 5 years ago to beat the Rockets, and Damian Lillard last night. Game winner, series winner, go on to the next round. It is to have those 2 things, a 50-point playoff game, and your 48th, 49th, and 50th points coming on that, a 30-plus footer that for one of 2 people alive is not a bad shot. Damian Lillard and Stephen Curry, for it to culminate after a great second half of the 4th quarter run, all of it in that building was just perfect for Portland. Now, obviously, incredibly bittersweet for the Thunder, but for Dame and for Portland, given how last year ended, to have this moment and that game, that was as good as it gets in the NBA.
Even better to the story was they're shorthanded. I mean, you go into the series, yes, because they have a better record, but the horrific injury they suffered when they lost their center late in the season, right there in front of everyone, that right there, and for them to be able to regroup, I just like, from a philosophy standpoint, what Damian has talked about, his career, how his shortcomings have led to this. He talked about adversity, realizing that sometimes it's your time to go through adversity, but he set himself up through the whole series, the back-to-back with Russell. He talked about some of the things that some of the other players were saying. But in this showdown here, he had a chance to go to the hole. He waited deliberately. And they put their best defender, not Russell. They put Paul George on him, and he waited for that shot. I mean, he could have gotten a pick. He could have gotten someone else in the matchup, but he looked up at the clock, took his time, and not only that play, but this whole series was set up for people to look at Dame and say, man, where is he as far as the best players that we have in the NBA? And what they have there in Portland is a very, very special story of them being able to persevere, them still being able to overcome their injuries, and be able to, man, to close out OKC 4-1.
And I want to talk about that last shot and for a moment, because Paul George said after the game, it's a bad shot. Said multiple times. It's like, that's a bad shot. You're going to have to live with it. That's a bad shot. I disagree with Paul George. It's a low percentage shot, but it shows the reason Dame can do that is because he had such confidence, not in the shot, that if this thing goes to overtime, we're in position to win. So what I'm not going to do is go to a pick and roll where all of a sudden there could be an offensive foul. What I'm not going to do is bring other people into the action where all of a sudden it could be Thunder ball, 2.5 seconds left, and they get the last shot. We are either going to win on this moment where you can't send a double team at me because I'm 35 feet away, where I know I'm going to get a clean look because I'm 35 feet away, or we're going to go to overtime where we feel like we're better, and I'm sure he feels like, and we feel like we've got the best player on the court, me, Damian Lillard. So it was an unconventional final shot, but given the circumstances, I understand why he did it, and that he nailed it makes it one of the, this is not prisoner of the moment, one of the shots in NBA history. we saw a few hours ago.
For the Thunder, though, they've now been eliminated in the opening round for 3 straight seasons. How could you put in perspective what happened down the stretch in this series and the last couple of years with this team?
Well, their season, their lack of shooters around Russ, it came out. Their lack of having a dominant big man, even though Steven Adams, they love Steven Adams, they're paying him an awful lot of money, but moving forward, are you going to be able to win with just a prodding center like him, a guy who's still very young? So, man, they've made some financial decisions that put them, they're marginalized, and they're in the wild, wild west. Man, if they were in the East, they might be able to slip through and everything, but their future, they can't look to their future and be like, wow, you know something, our future looks bright after last offseason, pulling off the upset of the offseason by signing Paul George before he even enters into free agency, before he even entertains a Lakers interview. So, in the West, I don't know what the future for the Thunder is, Nick.
And last night's game individually, kind of a microcosm for how this whole postseason went, how the last few postseasons have gone. A lot of promise. And then, wait, what the hell happened? They were up 15 with 6.5 minutes left. And Portland goes on a 26-8 run to end the game. They were up 6 with the ball with 2 minutes left. Up 6 with the ball, 2 minutes left, and Portland goes on an 11-2 run the rest of the way. Paul George missed 2 big free throws down the stretch. Russ had a couple of turnovers. Their offense all of a sudden just went and died in the second half of the fourth quarter.
Because if they're going to be a good team, they got to be a top 5 defensive team. We know they're going to struggle as far as shooting the ball. So you talk about them offensively. Portland was able to clamp down on them at the end, but defensively, they're just not as good as they were the first half of the season where their defense was special.
Well, and that is when we talk about the Thunder moving forward because of the contracts. You mentioned Steven Adams. Steven Adams got $26 million and $27 million still coming to him. That's just one of their onerous contracts they have on the books, not even to mention Schroeder's deal, Jeremy Grant's deal, and some other ones. The only way forward for Oklahoma City is to be the best defense in basketball. Because what we now know, and maybe I've been hesitant to admit it, is with Russ as a primary component of your offense is going to be limited efficiency-wise. Your offense is going to be limited from a three-point shooting range-wise. And so you can't be a good defense. You have to be a great defense if they're going to do more than what they've done every year since KD left, which is first round, short playoff appearance, and gone.
All right, Thunder's going home. Portland moving on.